Welcome to the Frisco Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Ellis, and today I am joined by somebody you know from Hustle and Pro. Kelly Walker's in the studio with me today. Hey, Kelly.
Hi.
And our guest is Andy Milovich, the GM and president of the Frisco Roughriders. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. I want to let everybody know before we get going that before we started recording, we kind of kicked this off by finding out that we're both Indiana boys and big IU basketball fans. So if any of you out there are big IU basketball fans, please connect with us one way or another on social media. We need more of you around.
Absolutely.
So good. How did you make your way from Indiana to Frisco, Texas?
Well, it was a long, winding road through a lot of small towns, and I guess like a lot of kids growing up, I had a dream of playing Major League Baseball, and I was fortunate to have had an opportunity to play in college. Started at IU, finished at Valparaiso University, and from there, the opportunity to play professionally clearly wasn't going to happen. And so for me, the front office route was the way I wanted to go, and the player development side, as appealing as that was, back in the early 90s, if you hadn't had a career playing professionally, there really wasn't much of a transition to get into the baseball operations side of it. So the front office and the minor league baseball side of it was a perfect fit, and had a chance to go to the minor league baseball winter meetings in Atlanta in '93. I had done 3 internships prior to that. Hooked on with a team in Madison, Wisconsin, running food and beverage in a really, really challenging situation. A lot of fun, but not a lot of success, and I learned quite a bit. After a year with that organization, I hooked up with my former GM in South Bend. He had put me in touch with the guys that were opening a new ballpark in Erie where they needed some staff, and I joined them and spent 18 years with Palisades Baseball, opened 3 different ballparks in Erie, then as the GM in Mahoning Valley in 1999, in Northeast Ohio, and then in Charleston, West Virginia in 2005. And at the end of the 2012 season, again at the winter meetings, I was approached by Chuck Greenberg about an opportunity in Myrtle Beach. And a close friend of mine, best man at my wedding, I had worked with for 15 years, had been considering that job. Wasn't a great fit from a timing standpoint with his family, and he put Chuck in touch with me and moved down to Myrtle Beach, spent 6 years there before the opportunity here to move over with Chuck presented itself. And we've been here since last July, so we're really excited and having a lot of fun and learning the community and making ourselves at home.
Well, very good. We're very excited and happy to have you here in Frisco. And I understand that we have maybe set some records this year at the Dr. Pepper Ballpark.
Yeah, we had a great year. Like every year, we had some ups and downs, some challenges. It was my first full season here, and so learning the operation, learning the community, learning what worked and what didn't. It's always a pretty involved process, but we hit our stride and felt really good about things. I think we had our second biggest attendance ever next to Dude Perfect Night last year, and we had our biggest final weekend the team has ever had. So we feel really good about what we've been able to do in the last year, feel great about our role in the community and the strides that we've made, and we're looking forward to bigger and better things in the years to come.
Well, the Roughriders have become, I think of them as an institution in Frisco. Been here for a long time. A lot of good things that happening with not just with the team itself, but around the team in the ballpark. Since we're at the end of a baseball season, I thought it might be fun to get into some of the other things that are happening in the ballpark that will still get people coming out and getting people together and having fun and doing community-oriented activities.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that take place, and people are always surprised when we tell them that October is actually our busiest month of the year at the ballpark. We have something going on seemingly every day, from the traditional events we have, our big casino night with sponsors and season ticket holders, the Red River Rivalry game where we have the Oklahoma and Texas celebrities come out and play in a softball game against each other. It's a lot of fun, similar to the Dirk's Heroes event that we have every year in the summer. But with a Texas and Oklahoma flair to it. McConaughey is actually a much better hitter and athlete than probably a lot of people would think.
Good to know.
A lot of those football players, they're not capable of hitting the ball.
It's fun to watch them try to swing and hit. It's entertaining.
It is funny to watch McConaughey out-athlete some professional athletes, but it does happen. And then we have our fall festival. This year we've got a booze and brews festival angle to it, where we're going to be doing some things with our friends from Franconia around that as a beer festival event that ties into our fall festival. And even the Rangers have jumped on board this year. They moved their fall instructional leagues, created a prospects camp we're playing games against Texas Tech, a couple of games, Dallas Baptist, and different schools in the area where the Rangers' top prospects from around the system are getting a chance to play here at home and work out at our facility every day. So between the corporate events, the public events, the private events, and the Rangers stuff we have going on, it's a really, really busy month at the ballpark.
So I can vouch for what you said about October being busier than you would think. This month of October, there's a time when then my family will be there 2 or 3 nights in a row. And of course, it's not watching Roughriders baseball, but it's for the things like you mentioned, the casino night. As season ticket holders, we go to that, and it's awesome. It's so much fun to play money and get to be out on the field. And
is that only for season ticket holders, or can anybody attend the casino night event?
Yeah, it's season ticket holders and then some sponsors as well. So,
Okay.
For us, it's a chance just to say thank you and have a lot of fun. It's casino games on the infield, a great buffet that Chef creates for us, music, and you're playing with funny money, but to buy prizes and win things. So it's just a lot of fun and a way to say thanks, kind of kick off the next
Absolutely.
year.
it is. And to meet other, fans and friends. And we've made friends there over the years. And then I'm super excited about that you guys are bringing the Rangers camp. I mean, it's been called a few things over the years, caravan and a couple different things, and but to bring my Red Raiders in for that is exciting because we're a bunch of friends and I to get to go watch that and to watch Josh, the number 1 prospect, play. So hopefully, I don't know.
I mean, the first chance to really get a glimpse of him for a lot of people. So to see him here is really exciting, and it's good to know that we have a fellow Red Raider. My daughter has already decided, even though she's 10, she's going to play basketball at either Baylor or Texas Tech. So she's all
perfect.
Now, speaking of the whole IU connection, I mean, you guys had Bobby Knight there for a little while as
We
well.
did, yes.
Yeah, after he was no longer at IU.
Yep.
That was a kind of a sore spot, I think, for some IU fans, but it was glad to see him land somewhere for a little while anyway.
Yeah, that was an interesting time as an IU fan, and the winter meetings happened to be in Dallas, I think the first year after he came here, and I ended up somehow boarding a plane and flying from here to Lubbock, and we caught the Louisiana Texas Tech game, went into the Bob Knight pregame shoot-around, got a chance to meet him, sat in the first row behind the bench. So
Cool.
The one time I actually met Coach up close and personally was not as a Hoosier, but as a Red Raider. So
interesting.
Yeah, he turned our program around, and look at us now.
He did.
Yep.
Indeed. So is the Rangers camp event, is that something that people can come and attend and watch as well?
Yeah, it is. So we've got a couple of different games that are public and open to everybody. All the details are at ridersbaseball.com with the exact dates, start times, and ticket availability. But it's great. They've got 60 guys in their camp, and it's kind of a spring training-like atmosphere. So you might play 7 innings, you might play 9, you might get 4 outs in an inning just to let a pitcher kind of work through a situation or get the number of pitches they want in and so forth. So it'll be a fun kind of atmosphere and a chance to really get to see a lot of these guys up close and personal.
Okay.
And similar to that, yes, anybody can go. They're really affordable tickets. But other things that happen throughout the year that sometimes people don't realize and they need to watch out for. One of our favorites, you mentioned the Dirk game, so the Dirk Heroes celebrity game. But I think that's usually a June time frame.
Yes.
Yeah. But then,
sorry, Kelly, real quick. Is he going to keep doing that now that he's retired?
So we haven't heard anything official yet. There is some speculation that he may want to continue with that, and there's rampant speculation about who might take the baton if he does in fact decide to retire. So
just had to ask.
I mean, I'm just saying, with Jason Terry here now, it wouldn't be a bad handoff if he wanted to hand that off to him. But also, and not sure if this will come back, but it's been here for a few years, when the Cowboys do a home run derby, that's a fun event. And some years it's free, some years it's $5 to get in. And it's really cool to take your family and you sit in the baseball bleachers, but you're watching the Cowboys hit and their family's out there, and it's a fun time.
Or try to hit, as we were talking about earlier.
Right. And Jason Garrett's actually one of the better batters of all of them.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch those guys talking about, professional athletes and what they're good at and what they aren't. Like, I feel like basketball players, baseball players, and most athletes could kind of step onto any field and at least look the part. But when you just watch some of those offensive and defensive linemen try to catch a baseball coming at them with a glove, it's scary. And then watching some of them swing, I think they asked Cooper last year when he got out of the cage after he, in 12 swings, maybe swung and missed at 8 of them, fouled 3 off, and hit 1 in play. when the last time he hit was, and he said, "Today's the first time I've ever hit."
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So some of them will blow you away with what they can do, and others you're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, this doesn't add up.
And it's fun because, like, when Dak goes up to hit the first time, maybe he didn't hit as good as he wanted. You can tell. He's like, I will do better next time around. And he does. And he hits good. So it's fun. That's one of the other fun events that people need to watch out for because it sneaks up usually like in May or so. And it's easy to access and go do. So watch out for that one.
Okay. I understand there's this sounds kind of cool to me, a movie night at the ballpark as well?
Yes, we have a handful of movie nights. Traditionally, they're not public events. You get into some licensing issues with the movies and the production companies.
Okay.
But we do have a lot of movie nights that take place with our different corporate partners. We do a season ticket holder movie night, and some of our major sponsors will do different events at the ballpark.
That's why you need to be a season ticket holder. You get to go to all these events.
Yeah, there's batting practices taking place this week for season ticket holders.
That's one of my favorites, by the way.
Movie nights. One of my favorite events we do with a corporate partner is Dr. Pepper does kickball karaoke. So their employees have to sing a song before they get a chance to kick.
Interesting.
Which is entertaining. But yeah, that's the great thing about minor league baseball is really the sky's the limit. When you've got a ballpark like we do with the LED everywhere, a lazy river, the lights in the field, you can do all kinds of crazy fun events that are part of a game, that are standalone events, and it's really a lot of fun.
Another standalone event that everyone can come enjoy, there's always an Easter egg hunt for the little kiddos around Easter time. And like you mentioned, the Fall Festival with its cool new name, the Brews and Booze. Did I say that wrong? Beers and Booze?
Booze or blues?
Booze.
Booze. Okay.
And brews or beers.
Booze and beers.
Booze and beers.
Booze and beers.
Booze and beers. But that's fun. Anybody can, there's everything from obviously adult things happening, adult beverages, but also kids getting their face painted and all kinds of activities for kids. You can spend the whole afternoon
Is that festival coming up soon, I would assume?
Yeah, end of the month that takes place. There's costume contests for kids, and there's just it's a 4-hour window, I think, with all kinds of stuff going on. Pumpkin patches, you name it, it's out there, and it's all free to the public.
We've got a long post that we update every year of fall festivals and pumpkin patches and things like that. So
it's in there.
It's already in there.
Oh yeah.
If not, I was going to say we'll make sure it is. So.
It's in there.
Okay.
And then fast forward after that, you've got the Winter Wonderland.
Yeah, and the Winter Wonderland's fantastic because that's a Toys for Tots partnership. I think last year on a cold, rainy, miserable night, we did over 12,000 toys, more than 100 bikes, and several $1,000s we raised in one night with the Toys for Tots event at the ballpark. So hopefully this will be our third year with that event. Hopefully it'll be the first time the weather actually cooperates because we can do a lot more stuff other than just people stopping by to drop off.
Right.
When is that event?
That is in December, so I want to say it's the first week of December.
Okay. And are there other activities happening around that as well? Like, what are some of the other features of that event?
Well, there were a lot of things that were supposed to happen, and last year was my first time experiencing it, and none of those activities happened because it was sleeting and raining.
I have been when all of the activities have happened, and it was fine weather. I mean, cold, but, good hot chocolate weather. So my kids like to get hot chocolate and sip on that the whole time we're in there. You can do a horse-drawn carriage ride around the exterior perimeter of the ballpark, and the field has Christmas lights on it. I don't think you go on the field at that time, but it's really pretty. It's a good picture to have in the background with the lights on the field. I'm pretty sure there's a real reindeer there, too.
I think we've had reindeer.
Yeah.
I think Santa has been there and taking pictures. I think there's cookies and crafting stations.
Oh, yeah. There's plenty going on for family entertainment in December there.
Sounds like fun. You guys do keep that park busy.
Yeah, it's really become a community center, really. And, when you think about what's happened here in Frisco, and I've heard the mayor speak a number of times about this being the greatest place to raise a young athlete and now the safest place to raise a young athlete. That's really what drove us to Frisco. As a parent of two kids, my wife was a college basketball player. I was a college baseball player. We have two young athletes. And we looked at the quality of schools, the quality of life, the sports, the proximity to the DFW Metroplex and everything it has to offer on the big league level, and really just said, if we don't move here, somebody should take these kids away from us. Like, we would be irresponsible parents if we don't do this. And we miss the beach, don't get me wrong, but the move has been fantastic. But as we talk to different sponsors and people in the community, and I think about kind of how this vision started in the late 90s, it started with that TIF district at the ballpark, and that was the first dive into sports. And you look at what's happened through FC Dallas and the Stars and the Cowboys and the Legends and the PGA and everything that's going on in this community. It's really remarkable to think that it started with minor league baseball and that vision, that commitment, and to see it manifest itself and unfold this way is really an incredible thing and a lot of fun to be a part of.
And I think you guys have a unique perspective in that as a minor league team with your Ranger team down the road, just a little bit, right down the road to where your players can bounce back and forth more than a normal market would be able to do that. So as a fan perspective, that's really cool that you can see players back and forth and mostly get promoted and stay there for several years and, half your Ranger squad are Rough Riders.
Yeah, it's really a neat thing, and it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it's so special for the fans that are growing up in the community and coming to that ballpark. And, that game has such an incredible connection from one generation to the next, and I know that's how I got into it. My dad was coaching baseball when he was 18, 4 years before I was even born, and he coached into his 60s. And so, for me, I grew up on Cubs baseball. And our team in Myrtle Beach is a Cubs affiliate, so to be there and be a part of it and feel connected to that big league team that you grew up with was really, really special. And, to get a World Series ring as a part of it was a crazy dream come true. I wasn't the starting shortstop like I had envisioned as a kid, but,
close.
You were there in spirit, for sure.
I at least stood behind Gleyber Torres while he was fielding ground balls before they traded for Chapman and won a championship. But, that part of it, to see these guys on their way to the big leagues and then see them realize that dream up close and personal is really cool. And then because of that proximity, you get to see so many of these guys when they have a rehab assignment where they come back down and they get a chance to still stay in their own bed, stay with their families, but come back to Frisco where it kind of all started for them is a really cool thing as well.
It is. We enjoy that. It's fun to go see Guzman and, I don't know, Delino. A lot of people come through every year, people rehab through, and it's kind of a fun, you probably get a nice pop of attendance on some of those nights, too. A random Tuesday night when somebody's pitching, rehabbing through, huh?
Yeah, it's weird. So because we're in the Metroplex, you do get a bump, but it has to be a really big name to get a bump.
Yeah.
If you have a utility infielder coming down, maybe that means an extra 30 or 40 autograph seekers come out, but it takes a Yu Darvish, Josh Hamilton to really move the needle. Whereas if you're in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, any big leaguer gets that community excited and they come out.
Right, yeah. Some of the bigger crowds I remember for stuff like that was you coming through. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody would come out for those starts especially when he was new, when he was first pitching in Texas at all. He came through Frisco. I feel like he came to Frisco before he actually hit Arlington to pitch. Yeah. And that was exciting.
Yeah, I looked, I'm a big numbers and data guy, so I combined 5 years worth of game log data when I got here and was just looking at our biggest days in the team's history and categorized them. And Dude Perfect is number one.
Sure.
And then like the next 5 or 6 dates are a couple of Yu Darvish, a Josh Hamilton, and Cole Hamels appearances. So those big time, big name rehabs, and especially pitchers, because you get to see them more than just 4 at bats, seems to make a really big difference.
Can I ask you one question? You mentioned earlier about opening some ballparks.
Yes.
I had to say goodbye to, the baseball part of saying goodbye to the ballpark in Arlington. I get to go back one more time for Billy Joel in a few weeks, so get to go down on the field one last time. But so what are your thoughts? Have you been following the farewell tour of all the players and well wishes that everybody's been giving the ballpark these last few months?
Yeah, I mean, I've followed it a little bit. Obviously, it's been a crazy time. The baseball season's a crazy time for us as well. But to me, that kind of speaks to the power of sports, right? We talked being born in Bloomington, delivered by an IU team doctor, growing up in South Bend. I feel like I have a real appreciation for what sports can mean to a community and how it transcends socioeconomic boundaries and brings people together and when used correctly, can lift communities. And when you think about growing up at a stadium or at a ballpark like Globe Life Park, it's such a special place, and there's such fond memories that go beyond the baseball. It's the connection that you have to your family or to your friends or who you enjoyed that game with. It. Anytime you lose a building that meant that much to you, it's a really tough thing to get your head around. And I was a Brown season ticket holder at Municipal Stadium. So when I went back and I got my tickets at the new place. It just didn't feel right. Municipal was dirty. It was grungy. The bathrooms were disgusting. There were trouble and fights and stuff all over. Like, it was crazy. But it had so much character and so many memories, and it meant so much to that community. And then they brought back this new, sterile, kind of really ultra-clean place with really, really bad football. And all of a sudden, it just took a long time to even feel like you were at home. So it is a challenge, but if you look at Sunday's game as an example, what was the temperature? 96 degrees, and people were frying out there. And so I get it. Progress isn't always fun, but it is necessary at times.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, hopefully this will give them the opportunity to really drive more attendance, to create a better environment for the team, and ultimately drive the revenues it takes to be successful.
Makes a lot of sense. So on that note, is there anything that you can tell us at this point about what's coming up for the Rough Riders, maybe next season, some things to look forward to?
Well, we're right now we just got back from El Paso, and we spent a week down there at the Minor League Baseball Innovators Summit. And, we went back to El Paso where this seminar originally started 40 years ago. And there's a young man named Jim Paul at the time who had created this promotional seminar with 12 people that all got together to share ideas, and it turned into this thing that up until I think 98 or 99 was known as the El Paso Promotional Seminars. And it was just minor league baseball people getting together to share ideas and brainstorm and help everybody get better. And so with the 40th anniversary, with Jim Paul getting up there into his 70s, felt like we needed to take it back to its roots, reconnect with him and share ideas in El Paso and see their new ballpark. And so we just spent a week down there, got a chance to spend a few hours with Jim and really reconnect with what kind of has made this such a special industry beyond the baseball. And we had, I think, 7 people from our staff down there, and we're meeting this Tuesday, tomorrow, to debrief and kind of talk through all of our promotions, everything that we're doing. And I think probably our biggest goal next year is to have more fun than anybody in minor league baseball.
I love it.
That was our goal in Myrtle Beach, and not just from a fan's perspective, but from a staff's perspective. Because when we're having a great time and everybody's feeding off that energy and that creativity, it leads to great promotions. It leads to great things in the ballpark. And, I'm just really excited to kind of get back to, now that we've torn apart ticket packages and reevaluated concessions and kind of really tore down the engine of the block and rebuilt some things, to get back to what we do best, and that's having fun and playing baseball and putting on a great show for the community.
I was going to say, I bet at the Innovators meetings, they're all waiting to hear what you guys are saying. The Rough Riders lead the league in different, innovative ideas and what you guys do to the ballpark. So they were probably all waiting to hear your new brainstorming ideas.
Yeah, they were. And, it's interesting. We're pretty forward-thinking in terms of embracing data on the business side of things. And we've had a great partnership for the last year with UNT. So it's great that we're over here on the campus. And part of what we've done has been really focusing on where our attendance comes from, what industry verticals it's driven from, where we're having success and not in different verticals, so that we can get better at kind of managing our ticket sales staff. We have over 20 people on our ticket sales staff, which is a big staff to kind of get your head around and to determine who's performing and who isn't. So a lot of what we've talked about the last few years at this Innovator Summit has been, how do you embrace data and how has this helped teams get better? So we were really heavily involved in those discussions. We partnered with UNT on some different projects on that front. We also are the only team in minor league baseball that has a full-time business intelligence analyst who's a data guy who'd spent years at Yahoo as a coder in India before moving to the U.S., and he's been with me for a few years. So we were heavily involved in kind of the future and where we're going, but at the end of the day, to me, what data really represents, if you break it down, is how you can better understand your fans and what emotionally drives their decisions and draws them to your team. And once you can use data that way, it allows us to better connect with you in a way that's relevant and personal and emotionally connecting. And that's what it's all about. For me, I have an 8 and 10-year-old girl, so we're going to sporting events all the time, but my social calendar is largely dictated by what their interests are. And so everybody's at different life stages. The community's exploding. They're building everywhere you look. So for us, it's about how do we build a promotional schedule and build a marketing campaign that's relevant to people individually, because at the end of the day, that's really the only thing that matters is how you personally want to be treated, and then us trying to create that game day experience that meets your expectations, and that's different for everybody. And so I think that's the sweet spot, the intersection of data and emotional connections.
It's interesting to hear you talk about that because as a digital media company, it's something that we're very focused on as well. It's much easier to measure those things in a digital environment than it is in a bricks and mortar online environment like you guys have. And I know that crosses over into digital to some extent, but you've got a physical base to start looking at in terms of attendance and ticket sales and things like that. So it's good to hear that you guys are taking that approach and really trying to personalize that experience for the community.
And what a challenge. I mean, you have, like you said, you want everybody to have the game day experience that they want. That's from toddlers to 90-year-olds that are out there watching baseball. So that's a tough thing to achieve.
Yeah, there's no question. And if you're going to tailor that individual experience, it takes time. It takes additional resources, staffing-wise, money-wise, you name it. But I think the first big step is shifting to this membership experience specialist team that we have now to make sure that our primary core audience, our season ticket base, is taken care of. And it's interesting. There's a gentleman, Brian Burns, who used to be on the steering committee for the National Sports Forum, which I'm on. And he's the top business intelligence guy for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He has since moved up in the ranks, and there's somebody else that's heading up that effort. His brother, Michael Burns, actually, and his wife, Jenna, both worked with the Roughriders at one point and now run the Oklahoma City Dodgers. And he had suggested when I first met him and attended a presentation breakout that he had held at the Sports Forum, he had talked about their membership experience team, or whatever the name of it was. And he said every interaction with a customer, they're tasked with learning 3 new bits of information about them, which sounds pretty creepy. But it's all about trying to figure out how do you tailor that experience. So, whether you're a motorcycle enthusiast or a boating enthusiast or your kids are into the mascot, their goal is to learn as much about you as they can so that when opportunities for the boat show or the indoor motorcycle, whatever they call that show, where they're jumping around with lights and cannon blasts and doing flips. Yeah, it's one of those crazy shows. Nitro Circus comes to town. That they know who's a great candidate and who would have an interest in one show versus another. And he said, what really hit home for me was he made the comment that they have a gentleman who owns the 4 seats between the bench and the scorer's table. And he spends like $480,000 a year on these 4 season tickets. And they're personal tickets. So it's not a company's name. And just out of curiosity, he said, this is such a major investment. How do you justify this? I could see from a business standpoint, but for you personally. And he said, well, listen, I've done very, very well in my life. I've made a lot of money, and I obviously could do just about anything I want to do. But when I brought my 4-year-old daughter out here and it was her birthday, the mascot came over along with the dance team, presented her with a birthday present and a cake, and sang happy birthday to her on the court. I didn't make a call. I didn't ask. I wouldn't do those things. He said, but the fact that you guys cared enough to do that, I can't put a price on that. And so that's kind of the trick, right, is how do you figure out what's important to different people, and then how do you deliver that experience without making it feel like you're intrusive? And in Oklahoma City's case, and hopefully in ours, it'll be through this membership experience team that will take care of your ticket exchanges, anything you might personally need with your account, while getting to know you better and delivering a higher level of service.
It's happening. I see it. Over the years, we've had a couple different reps. Our original one now runs the sales department, so but they know we're friends. We're friends with all of them. They know our kids. We know when their kids are, coming and born, and they know what sports we're attending and all of our interests and what we're up to. So your staff's doing a good job of it.
Yeah, we're fortunate. We have some really good people, and they're committed. And Ross and David have been here for a long time and done a great job. And now we've got a full-time dedicated service team that's going to take care of all of our season ticket holders, whether you're a first year and just getting into a rookie onboarding program, or you've been here 8 or 10 years and know your way around the ballpark, like you do. And it's for us, it's all about how do you make this a seamless, enjoyable family night out at the ballpark? Because at the end of the day, our fans are just like us. We're all starved for time. We don't have enough hours in a day. We have a million things going on. And when you do have that chance to spend 2 or 3 hours with the people you care about, you want a seamless, fun experience that creates the memories and that downtime that you're looking for.
Absolutely. I think that's a great place to end it off. But Andy, thank you so much for joining us today. That's a great look at all the stuff happening at the ballpark, a good look at kind of how you guys are thinking about things behind the scenes and why it is such a special experience and why I'm going to go back and say that the Frisco Roughriders are a Frisco institution. And thank you guys for all you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep up the good work. Kelly, thanks for joining us as well.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to all of you for listening into the Frisco Podcast. Please be sure to go out and subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much any place that you're listening to a podcast, you're going to find the Frisco Podcast. And while you're at it, go look up Kelly's Hustle and Pro as well and make sure you subscribe to her podcast too. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.